What's going on, YouTube? So I gotta ask the question: Guns N' Roses peak and prime. When was it? It's easy for me to remember. I say 87 to 93. Um, you know, Sweet Child of Mine, Welcome to the Jungle. When they first came out, they were huge. I mean, that thing hit like a tornado. You know, I remember they had the kind of impact. I would say on rock music on the popular side, kind of like Public Enemy for hip hop or NWA, they hit like that, or like Run DMC in hip hop, or they had this kind of impact where people were, Welcome to the Jungle took off like an animal. I mean, because at the time there were a lot of hair bands, metal bands. It was, and you had other bands that were out, but their thing kind of hit differently. It was like a certain wave that it just hit, and so by the time they You know, now it came out with that EP, which was very divisive. You know, Axl Rose was going through his Archie Bunker tip, and that was very divisive. But some people kind of put that thing away because then they didn't really expound on it to really take them out per se. Because then the Use Your Illusions 1 and 2 came out, and then they were, you know, back at it again. They had two albums come out the same day, and people were like really up on them for a while. For a while, they had a real strong following, but then the whole, I want to say the Seattle scene took over, you know, and that was a different scene that kind of ate into their popularity, if you will, So that was a real situation with that whole scene, with that whole thing took off, and you know, that became an interesting juggernaut. But that's not what got in Guns N' Roses' way because they had their identity. They were definitely an interesting amalgam of different influences, which was typical pop music, when you get it down to it. I think by the time they came up with that spaghetti incident, I think it was an EP in '93, that's when everything cooled off because Axl Rose was almost on that self destructive tip. And they had definitely wore on each other's nerves. But for a while, they were one of the most happening bands. They had a lot of songs, as I mentioned, Sweet Child of Mine, Welcome to the Jungle. Then you had songs like November Rain, which was obviously a nod to Elton John with the climaxes and everything, Don't You Cry and all that. So they hit some big songs that were impactful for what they were doing. It's just that the kind of momentum is hard to keep up. Axel was the chief songwriter and everything went through him. Final say for the most part. So those kind of things tend to bring out all kinds of